Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Pod of Ages, a League of Legends esport podcast for fans by fans about being a fan. I am Kathy, Textall at Twitter, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host Linda, who is iCrystallization on Twitter. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm still stuck in VPN hell, but I'm surviving. I tried recording from a closet, that didn't work, so I have moved outside, and I'm no longer in that closet. Yes.
How long are you going to be in China?
I'm actually going home, like, tomorrow, so then we will be free from the VPNs.
Excellent. And for this episode, I am so excited to welcome our guest, Xander Torres, who is ex-Gumihu at Twitter still. Xander, how are you?
I'm doing well. I have survived LionCon/Anime Expo, and I'm ready to talk about esports.
Sadly, that is what brought us all together today, which is to talk about esports. Xander, you, I think most people will know as a freelance writer, and you've worked for a number of publications. I think I knew you most famously when you were freelancing for ESPN, but I'm looking at your amazing LinkedIn account, and it has you listed for Red Bull, HTC, VP Esports, and also, of course, you were freelancing for Blizzard. Gosh, it's been a long time, huh? You've had a long career.
Yeah. I've been freelancing since, I actually don't even remember, 2016, I guess, probably. And I don't know. It's been a long road. I've written about too many games and watched too many games. And read too many words.
So what was longer, your freelancing experience or LionCon? Which one?
Oh, LionCon. I stood in line for 4 hours, 1 mile from the convention center.
Oh my God, in the heat?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
Amazing.
That sounds like the amount of suffering that esports causes us on a day-to-day basis.
Esports is that was the 8th circle of hell, and esports is the 9th circle of hell.
Well, what a fantastic time that you're talking about esports with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we're going to do two kind of broad topics today. The first one is we're going to talk to Xander about his journey through esports. He's kind of in a nebulous area now where you've officially announced you've stopped freelancing, right?
Yeah, I am not taking on any more than what I have promised to do in the past. So I got it. That's it. No more work. I'm just doing what I was already going to do.
Right. So I'm just joking. We're not actually going to help Xander burn his bridges, but that's what we're going to talk to Xander about for our first topic. And then the second one, which I must give full credit to Linda for, is we are going to do a Heard It Through the Podvine episode where we are just going to talk about outrageous esport rumors that we've heard. So first up, Xander, we have to do to you the typical Pod of Ages intro, which is, how did you get into League of Legends esports?
Oh, okay. So I guess I have a pretty long-winded answer on that one.
Everyone does.
Yes, I have 2 stages of my little esports interest. But I'll start with, I've been playing League of Legends since 2010. I played very casually for a while, but I would say that I really got into the game in 2011 when I saw a pop-up for the championships at DreamHack, which Riot now regards as the Season 1 World Championship. Mm-hmm. I clicked on that link. I watched quite a few games. It was honestly very scuffed, so I wasn't too impressed at the time. Teams would just play even when someone on the other team would disconnect, so there was no pauses. The spectator was a little Teemo. It was just a 6th player, and it was a Teemo watching the game.
Oh.
And
wow.
That's amazing.
We've come a long way. Anyway, I just thought it was really cool how good some of the players were. I became a fan of Westrice and Epic Gamer, who are actually my first favorite team ever. It was actually a North American team. And it was just really exciting. And it actually made it so that I wanted to play the game more, because I played a lot more casually. And I was like, oh man, I want to be as good as them. So I kept playing. I never did get as good as them, but it's okay. Past that point, I started watching every North American tournament that came on. So I watched a lot of Epic Gamer, TSM, Rock Solid, who became Dignitas, etc. Mm-hmm. But I would say that like when I really got into esports is when I was scrolling through Twitch streams like at 3 a.m. when I was in high school. I was just looking for things to do. And I saw a streamer by the name of TPA Toys, and then followed by a bunch of Chinese characters that I can't read.
Right.
And I clicked on it. I didn't know what he was saying. I didn't really know what was going on, but
It was love at first sight. Yeah.
Yes, it was love at first sight. I watched him play Mordekaiser mid. He got 300 CS in 21 minutes, and I was so enthralled. Like people like Froggen were doing that, but like he was doing it on Mordekaiser. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's really cool. So I googled his name, and I found his team, Taipei Assassins. So I found and fell into the GPL hell and watched them play a few matches against like teams like Singapore Sentinels, and I would say that's when I really got into things. I thought TPA was really cool, and then they won Worlds, and then I was like,
Right.
oh my god, like this is like wow, like this is and that was the last time my favorite team actually won. Anyway.
Wait, hold on. Okay, that is the last time your favorite team ever won Worlds, which there haven't been that many teams who have done that. So that's sort of like a really high bar
My
to
team
ask,
won
right?
Worlds. I cannot
My team won
believe
Worlds,
this.
and I never got that ever again.
Well, yeah, they don't even like win at Worlds period anymore. So what can I say? I guess you're right. TPA won Worlds, and it was such a high. I was there actually at the Galen Center.
Oh wow.
And it was a lot of, I don't know, I was just so amazed. It was so cool to see like a team that I started to care about actually win.
Right.
Unfortunately, they went through their breakup phase the next year, and things didn't really continue. Especially since they wanted to play in North America, but since Riot announced the LCS, they couldn't play.
Right.
Because it would be like, instead of a tournament format, you had to go live there and be there every week.
Right.
And that really changed how things work. And I think we forget that how different the scene is now.
Oh no, absolutely. Like every time I have a conversation with you or, previously Angela or anybody who's been around for a while, I was like, what are you talking about? Like a Teemo on the map watching, that's crazy. Or just the idea of it being a like a non-league format. It's unbelievable to me because, when I started, that's what it looked like. And even to a certain extent, Linda, when you started, right? It was already a league.
And she was a Dirty Fnatic fan.
Why are we bringing
we'll never
this
let her
back?
forget.
Why are we bringing out the skeletons that have tried to dig deep into the ground and they keep getting tossed up all the time?
Well, because we all started somewhere, and it just so happened that yours was Fnatic, so we all had to make fun of it.
Yep, yeah. I should have just... You know what? No, I can't come up with anything worse. Nope, it was just I was just started out as a Fnatic fan.
Probably I'm not the first person who labored under the delusion that you were Taiwanese when I first heard about you. And it was shocking to, one, realize that you weren't, right? Two, that you actually don't speak Mandarin or understand Mandarin as far as I'm aware. And three, that, you're just merely a very, very big fan of LMS now, like what is LMS or what was LMS previously. So I guess that's I'm not crazy, right? Like that's a reputation that everybody knows you as, like Xander, the big LMS guy, right?
Oh yeah, everyone pretty much knows me for my Taiwanese fandom. It's not even just LMS. Like I just like have a thing for Taiwanese esports. I think the scene is very charming in a sense that it's too big for how small it is, and I always thought that was really cool.
And I guess so other than the fact that it's too big for how small it is there anything about it that you think makes it different from the other scenes that has drawn you for so long?
I think it's super casual. I wish I knew Chinese because I have friends that I watch with sometimes that will tell me what they're saying, and the casters are so funny and they say such ridiculous things that like the NA casters will never say on stream. It's just like a big meme fest is what it sounds like. And I don't understand Chinese very much. I took one Chinese class, but I can understand very few things they say, and even those things are funny. So I really appreciate how laid back the cast is compared to a lot of esports casts. I think I don't like how uptight Western casters are, and sometimes it sounds like they're trying to be smarter than the game. So I don't really like it personally.
Have you ever gotten a chance to see it live?
No, and I might never get that chance, but I did see League of Legends games in Taiwan
Right.
twice now. I watched Rift Rivals, which was more keen to that experience, and then I obviously saw it at MSI this year.
Right.
I never got to visit the Garena East Stadium, which is now closed. They play in an office. So
Well, some people would say it's a downgrade. Others would say, no, I think everyone would say it's a downgrade, but at least they're still charming.
I
They still
actually
have that
think
charm.
I think the production is better than it was before with the office setup, which is why it's weird. I don't know. I think it looks nicer than it used to because it's not like super dark anymore. It's like that menu is awkward.
Wait,
I don't really. I don't
wait, hold on.
They try to go for the moody esports lighting.
So explain to me. So it's now what? It's an office building and they still hold tournaments there or what?
They just play in an office building. So I don't know if you've ever watched other regions, but a lot of the minor regions will do this thing where they just have like a small booth and they'll play like in an office building somewhere, and they just stream that. So like the Latin America region also does that. I'm very used to it. It allows for like easier production as far as like putting casters on screen and stuff, but obviously you lose like the fan experience and you don't really get that same human connection going on.
So is there an audience watching it?
Not currently,
Okay.
no.
So it's kind of like contenders, like the Blizzard contenders tournaments in at least Korea, right? Where they're just like kind of streaming in and there's no live audience. Although theirs is a little bit different because they don't even go into anywhere. Don't they like stream from home?
Yeah, so yeah, those teams stream from home. At least Garena has them set up in an office and with really good internet and really good
Right.
webcams. So like it's not like a big deal that it doesn't really feel like they're playing in an office most of the time. It's only when you pan over to them that it's like, oh, okay, they're playing in an office now. But honestly, attendance for LMS was not very good in the first place.
Okay.
So it's really not like a huge loss, I would say. It's just a sign of bad things to come.
But I mean, with the way the LPL sometimes have like 4-hour long pauses, I sometimes wish that they played in an office too. Because they spend millions of dollars on their venues and then it still glitches or pauses or bugs and you have to sit there and wait for 4 hours and then it comes back and they're like, we're sorry. And it's like, okay, but I still sat there for 4 hours.
Wow, that sounds like anime. Anyways, Team WE should probably get on that office life. That's all.
Oh
That's all I
no.
have to say about that.
Yeah, but if we did it in an office building, Linda, you couldn't have those amazing overlays where Uzi feeds you Doritos.
Yeah, well, if I have to trade Uzi feeding me Doritos and pauses, I think I have to trade away Uzi.
Wow.
Now, if it was if it was Clearlove feeding me Doritos, then that's another story. But that's also another topic.
Wow.
So I will.
I feel hurt.
I will
feel
pause
hurt
right
on
now.
behalf of Uzi. But we will.
I'm so sorry, Uzi.
Yeah, why you gotta do
Yeah,
him
why you
like
gotta
that?
do him like that?
Well, sometimes sacrifices are necessary for the greater things in life.
And speaking of
Right?
sacrifices,
There's just
I think Xander, we left off. It is 2012, and you just watched TPA Assassins win or TPA win because Assassins is in the A. How did you go from that to, I guess, writing for Red Bull in 2016?
So I guess it started with the fact that I like to write about random things in general. I was never really a good writer, but if someone could find it, which I hope they don't, and if you do find it, don't link it to anyone. I used to write about baseball like every day on a weekly blog for like, I don't know, until I was like 16. So I wrote about baseball like on a random blogspot blog for like 3 years.
Okay, you're just asking me to find this.
Please don't find
now
it.
they're gonna Google like Xander baseball blogspot.
Yeah, please don't. Also, yeah, I just have this tendency to like just want to write about things that I like, even if people don't read about it. But I will be honest, because I haven't actually been transparent about this. I don't think anyone actually knows this. Is that when I started wanting to write about esports, it's because I was really into esports Twitter,
Oh,
and I thought a lot of people were really interesting on there, and I don't know, I didn't have any followers for like the longest time, and I just liked seeing interactions. So the first thing that actually fueled me to like really try and put myself out there a little bit more was that I just wanted to talk to people and use my like knowledge and what I wrote as a baseline to interact with people in the scene. I was like really interested just in becoming friends with people that like the thing that I like,
Yeah.
because I had never met anyone in like my real life that actually liked esports as much as me, like not even close. So I was always interested in finding someone who was at that level of fandom.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, the two of us would be like the last people in the world to think that that's a weird reason, right? Like, I think that's the entirety of why I'm on Twitter and why, like, that is like almost word for word why I started writing.
We're like sitting here on an esports podcast, like, God,
Xander,
that's so
what
weird.
a loser.
What? You're trying to connect with people about
Making
esports?
friends?
Anyways, on our esports podcast, we're gonna talk about, like,
God.
we're the least likely people to think that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, friends and feelings are just above esports, so I think it's definitely it's a questionable path.
No, for sure. But I mean, I do think it is, to me, whenever I talk to writers who, again, are not professional writers, and my friends who write a lot of it is kind of, I wanted to connect, and it didn't really matter how many people read it, right? Like, if one person read it and found it interesting and reached out to me to say something like that, my life has been made kind of feeling. And so it's nice sometimes to just be like, well, that's like why I write, not because necessarily I feel like that it'll get me anywhere or I'll get clout, which I think sometimes people think that way about people who write, and especially esports journalists, right? They're just doing it for the clout or for the connections.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are definitely searching for fame, and that tends to be a twisted reason to get into things. I just think you lose so much of the soul in what you produce if you're just trying to be popular, and if you're just trying to get hits. And that mindset is something that is definitely a big reason why I'm not as into the scene now as I was back then. Yeah, actually, I should also mention that I really only started trying to put myself out there like in 2015. So it was after like the 2014 World Championship where I was like, oh, I want to start doing things. And then the LMS actually formed that year. So I was like, oh, okay, like this is something that I kind of want to show people, because Taiwan had always been merged with another region. And I always thought they lost the spotlight because of that, and that they were, no offense to like the Southeast Asian regions, but they were being held back by like the general lack of centralization and competition for them. And I wanted to see those teams have the opportunity to actually have all their talent in the same region, because there was a Taiwanese region. It just wasn't the major region, so they couldn't qualify to Worlds or anything like that. So only one Taiwanese team could ever go to Worlds because of how GPL functioned. And that was just, it did not suit them when I thought they had the talent to already be good. 2015 proved to me that they had the talent. I'm still bitter that other teams don't have that. So, and more talent, because LMS talent isn't like, it isn't Europe talent, it isn't Korean talent, it isn't Chinese talent. But I guarantee you that they would have more talent than NA if NA couldn't buy talent. That is all.
I know that you probably don't have an answer for this, but I think sometimes with Taiwan, like I think of like Denmark or something, like they just have an outsized amount of good players for how small the population is. And do you have any theories as to why that is?
I've talked about this with people around that scene, and it really just seems like just a culture for PC gaming, and also like good internet and proximity to regions that are also really into PC gaming in general. So China and Korea. I don't particularly know. It just kind of works out that way. Like there's only like 1.5 million players on the Taiwanese server or something like that, and then like the ranked populations even lower than, like I'm not sure how big the server actually is, but it's very small. It's smaller than some like minor region servers, and it's produced lots of stars. Some of them are playing in LPL, some of them are still stuck in Taiwan. But I think it's just definitely the PC gaming culture, and I guess how dedicated Taiwanese gamers are to League of Legends, because that game is still really popular over there.
And how much do you have to like animate to be successful as a League of Legends player in Taiwan? Because I feel like that's some correlation in there.
Well, the only Taiwanese player to win like in the last 5 years of any sort of title was a gigantic weeb.
Exactly.
And JoJo is his favorite anime, so JoJo is the key to success.
Yes, you heard it here first. JoJo is in fact
A requirement?
the top anime
A requirement.
out there. Exactly.
Yeah, let's rephrase what Xander says. If you don't like JoJo and you don't like anime, you will never succeed. That's what he said.
That's true.
You will never win anything at all in your entire life if you do not like JoJo, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in 2016, it seems like 2015, 2016, you started writing and putting yourself out there and writing professionally. And what was that experience like to go from being just a fan on Twitter, writing your own pieces or however, and then actually doing it as a paid gig?
It was actually super exciting. I was, like I said, it was just a vehicle for me to talk to people.
Yeah.
But as soon as I was contacted, or rather someone I knew helped me or gave me an email and like just like a recommendation to the editor at Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really exciting for me because it was like, oh, okay, I actually like your clips. And the only thing that hurt me at that time was like, well, we're not really interested in Taiwanese league. So I couldn't write about that, but it was very cool. It's like, hey, write these NA stories. So I like that because it pushed me to go into something that I didn't really have interest, or like not interest in, but like didn't have any knowledge about. Mm-hmm. So I always liked LCS. I just never, there's only so much time in the day. So I didn't really watch it that often unless it was just happened to be on and I happened to be doing nothing. And I thought that was really cool. The one that really, I guess made me feel more legitimate was when ESPN, Rachel at the time approached me about that. And it was like, we want someone who knows about Taiwan LMS because, well, A, the power rankings, and B, just like general stuff for like international competition. At that time, LMS was still like, they were hot off like a good world championship. So, they were still like relevant in some senses. And that was, I don't know, I was floored. I was honestly so excited. I was in school and doing a part-time job at the time. So at the rates that I was offered to like write for things, I was like, oh, I don't have to work my part-time job anymore. And that was really freeing for me, at least.
So I feel like everybody, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like associate you really strongly with like being the ESPN guy who knows everything about LMS. Is that sort of your selling point at the time, or was it just in general like you wrote a lot and then just took whatever came your way?
I definitely think that the LMS thing has always been my sell. Mm-hmm. I think maybe more recently it isn't as much of my sell, but I would say that is the biggest reason why a lot of people know me and a lot of people, strolled into my work or my Twitter or anything like that. I think that I think just being like a person who is so dedicated to a region that, while isn't good, is still there and is still better than some like the minor regions. I think that really plugged me into a lot of people's minds. It's not really hard to be like, okay, there's like two people who know about LMS and it's like Clement and it's that guy. And that was pretty much how it worked. And I think that really helped me because it really set me apart from other people like immediately as far as that's concerned. I didn't really care about that, but I definitely think that it made things much easier for me as far as being recognized.
Did anybody ever confuse you with Clement? Like, honest question.
No. As far as Clement goes, he also thought I was Taiwanese. So it's definitely a very consistent
not only just the LMS guy, but also the Taiwanese guy who's actually not Taiwanese. But nobody figured that one out until like much later on.
No, me
being one of those people.
I always assumed that Xander Torres was like some, like a code name or something, like he'd picked a fake name to be his like quote real name, and like decided that he didn't want to go by a Taiwanese name. So the first time I was like, oh, Xander is not Taiwan. Like it truly was shocking. Maybe that's just me because I'm a weirdo.
I think that's fair. Xander technically is a code name of some in some senses. So
Right, yeah.
that's fair. Torres is my last name. I'm Mexican American. Very proud of it. And never have been Taiwanese. Never will be Taiwanese. And that's okay.
Darn.
I like how you tricked almost everyone in the esports industry.
Yeah.
Like, whether a part of it or not, that you're Taiwanese, but you're not Taiwanese.
Yep.
It's just
I actually thought I was really surprised at first when people were thinking that. Like, I don't know. I guess it was just like, why would anyone watch this if they weren't Taiwanese?
Yeah, that's, yeah. I'm sorry that's kind of like the implication, but it kind of was the implication. Like, why would somebody dedicate this much of their fan/professional career to watching everything Taiwan esports related if they weren't Taiwanese?
I mean, it's just true. Like, that's the implication. Like, everyone's just like, oh, okay. Like, why do you watch this? And then I go through my spiel, like what I shared with you guys, and that's why.
But it's like, no, I'm not trying to like knock you. It's just like, I think that is true. Like, that is what everybody thinks at the end. And I don't have it. I can't explain why we think that way. Cause like, obviously I'm not Korean and I watch a lot of LCK. So it is, you love what you love.
You know, I'm not, wait a second, I am. Yeah, that one doesn't work on me. Too bad.
Darn. What would you say was your favorite, like, part of working for the esport industry, as it were? Like, was it just being able to connect with other people and do this thing that you really love?
I actually think that the most rewarding thing was meeting players and subsequently finding out that they were human.
Yeah.
Despite their best efforts to appear as not human. I think I actually took a lot from like interviewing players. I learned a lot about, how not just players, but how people worked in like those types of settings. Like, if someone's asking you a question and then they answer. And when I went to Worlds for the first time in 2016, that was when I was like really starry-eyed. Like, I had already been writing it for a while, but then when I got there and I did interviews with like players that I had seen, my first ever interview was Albus from AHQ.
Oh, wow.
And that was a cool first interview. And then it was Smoothie from C9 at the time. I took so much joy from interviewing players, and I wasn't very good at it. I was extremely stressed. Like, I don't know, like heart rate going up, very nervous, didn't really know what to say a lot of the time, but I got there, I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting. It's really hard to explain, but I think I just really enjoyed trying to get the best out of players and trying to show people like how, interesting they could be, even though they were just, people playing a video game.
Gamers, even though they're gamers.
Yeah. I mean, gamers aren't great, but there are aspects to them.
I love how in our last episode we were like talking with Andrew, like, do gamers deserve rights? And now we're talking to Xander, and it's like, he's like, do gamer men deserve rights? And now we're talking to Xander, we're like, oh, it's so nice to like have interviews with players and like find out that they're people. And it's like, it's the duality of esports in 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's like gamer men deserve rights up until a certain point where they don't. It's just like, the circle completes itself.
I would say that they don't deserve rights.
Okay, yeah, let's just go with that.
So you worked with Red Bull, you worked with ESPN, you wrote for VP Esports, you did some Overwatch freelancing for Overwatch League and Blizzard, which we will put aside. But this year you announced that you weren't going to take on anything new. The things that you were working on, they will come out, but that's kind of it for you, taking on new stuff. Why?
Loaded question. So, why? I think that there's a number of reasons. So firstly, I'll put it on myself to start. Less passion overall, less of that itch to keep on going, I guess. I think part of it was confidence to some degree. I felt like I wasn't doing as well as I wanted to. And I guess that segues pretty well. I wasn't doing as well as I wanted to, and I wasn't doing work that I felt like I could be proud of. And I felt like at a certain point that I wasn't able to actually diversify work that I did, while also being unable to eloquently do things that I wanted to do. I felt like I wasn't equipped to write about things that I wanted to write about at some points, and that really hurt my interest in actually writing. And for that, I will segue into the fact that I think that the esports media scene is, very unequipped to deal with or to like help writers actually get better. So I'll say this: at the start, I definitely had a lot of help, and I had good editors. My editor, Barrett Womack at Red Bull, was really important to me. He helped me a lot with getting better at like interviewing players and writing features around that, and really having a mind, or trying to have the mind to put together a story. But as things went on, investment in esports has dropped as far as esports media goes, and there's less help. There's less editor presence. I think that most media outlets and people in charge of them are not interested in actually producing good work. I think a lot of them are focusing on just trying to survive, which I understand. It's a very difficult landscape to navigate because of the age of like online advertising, and like I think a general lack of desire to read from people who
Right.
like video games, which is fair. I think that people are forgoing quality far too much in order to survive. I think that at some point you have to like really look at yourselves as an outlet and think, well, we have to we can do work that is interesting, but we can also focus on things that will escalate us as we continue to grow. I think the focus on Q&A interviews and I don't know, like half-baked hot takes are not really doing it for me, and it's just not a thing that I want to be a part of, because it's not something that I want to do.
Yeah.
It's not why I wanted to write, and I don't think that it's going to change anytime soon. If there happens to be some other rush to esports media, which I honestly doubt it, but if there happens to be some other rush, there's like the chance that people can actually develop. But right now, everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's content is really boring, honestly. And you need to like really look for people who want to write something different.
Well, you don't enjoy the 5th power ranking that's coming out every week?
Yeah, I mean, I write for those, but I hate them.
You're like sitting there like, God, why am I doing this?
It's also like those are I hate them so much because people will get on you so hard for them, and I'm like, I'm literally just trying to do this. Do you have any idea how hard it is to rank 50 teams? Like the top 10, like whatever, you can talk to me about that.
I don't think I even know 50 teams.
I don't think people even read the stuff on the, like, I'm actually surprised to hear that. Do people get on you for like the 50th team? Like, I thought everybody just jumped to the top 10 and then flamed you for whatever order they were in.
Okay, so the top 10 was definitely the target before. I remember when TSM was number 3. People got really mad about that. That was 2016 Worlds when they fell out of groups for the millionth time. And I just... It's always that, and then like when Korean teams would be like lower than top 10, people would get on you for that, or when European teams were lower than that, they would get on you for that.
And just to clarify, this is the ESPN Power Rankings, which despite them being one of the few outlets I know who've consistently pumped out esport content, they still need to do the Power Rankings because I'm told that they are the ones that get the most engagement, which, as you can tell from Xander's comment, seems to be accurate.
Yeah.
Because, like gamers can't read, and then they see short text, and they see bold text with their team, and then they see number, and they're like, my brain can connect this.
Oh,
and then
actually,
outrage.
That's the key thing, is they see their team, and they see number, and they get mad. They don't look at any of the other numbers or any of the other teams, and it's just like... it's very annoying, and also we've shortened our ability to actually explain. We actually used to do a blurb for every single team,
Yes. Yeah.
which
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, which was maybe a bit excessive, but like it still allowed us to explain like everything or just make memes. I mean, I honestly just put memes in the power rankings. If anyone ever reads the power rankings that I do anymore, I don't care. Just look. Okay, some of the words that I write. Actually, okay, this isn't League of Legends related. But I actually did put knee howdy energy, like knee how with howdy, because a guy was playing a cowboy in Overwatch. Anyway,
I love that. That's amazing.
yes, and that's
I mean,
very important to me.
honestly, that's about as much engagement I think most people reading will give it. So really, why bother? Because you're gonna get flamed one way or another. Like you could have the most eloquent explanation in the blurb, and you're still gonna get people who are mad at you for putting TSM third.
No, that's absolutely
Yes.
true. It's
Or someone's gonna be like, "Why is Fnatic in 8th place instead of 5th place?" And you're like, "I don't care, man. I don't care."
And it's all irrelevant at the end. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, we try our best. I mean, like I do try to like rank teams like properly and like have an idea and take into account like recent results. But when I do it, I just don't care. I don't know. It's like, why would you care so much? I literally put Flash Wolves as the worst team in the world 2 weeks ago because I was like, that would be funny, haha. And well, they were also 0-5, so it was fair. But I don't know. I think people take them too seriously, but they do get engagement. Like they get engagement in Korea, they get engagement
really?
in Taiwan. I read comments on the PTT forum with Google Translate and my friends, and it's really funny because they always just laugh at how bad LMS is, but they continue to read them.
oh my god! So PTT like reads the esports power rankings, and like do they translate them into like Chinese or Mandarin? Sorry.
Yeah, they do. They actually know me too.
Oh, wow.
They're always like that guy, and it's like, oh, he put them that low again.
Oh
Like, yeah.
wait, and Xander, you should explain what that is because I don't know if everybody knows what that forum is.
Oh, PTT.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a standard like bulletin board forum and that Taiwanese people use. I know it was like started by some college student. So it's like very bare bones. Like you click on it, it's literally just like a black screen and it's like a bunch of threads. So it looks really old. Like it's something you would see out of most 2000 forums.
Yeah, it's like I don't think people understand. Like it's just text on a screen, and like you can click on things and then they unthread them, but they're like there's no fancy scripting. But it is where almost all the discussion I would say that I've read in Chinese, of course, of Taiwanese esports resides. That I can tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, it's just also like there's no filter, so anyone can post anything they want. And you will see it regardless, whereas like Reddit will sort things
Oh God.
Yeah,
based on
it's
how popular they
just-
are.
like this is weird, but like that is actually the forum where I read all the stuff about Ole's past life, and so that's why I'm familiar with it. And it's basically the only place where you could find the almost full story of it, unless you just depend on Reddit comments to translate it for you.
Yeah, I know everything about that as well. So
Well, we could spend forever on this. I guess my question for you, my last question, Linda, you can ask whatever it is that you want, is like now that you kind of have semi-retired or will be retired from writing on this, does it feel different to watch the games now?
yes, because I don't have to care about them. I think the big thing is that I can watch at my leisure. I don't feel compelled to watch every single game because I just don't have to watch every single game. Like I watch like important games because I'm still doing power rankings right now. But I don't know. I just feel I feel very free because it doesn't really matter what I consume. I kind of just watch and I hope that my sons win. And that's
Yeah.
Who are your sons?
And also, I have many sons. I can go through them. Can I go through my
Yes,
sons?
please go through your sons.
Yes, please go through your sons.
Okay, I'll go from top to bottom. I'll go for a son in each position. Okay, so
Perfect.
my top lane son is Evie. He plays for Detonation Focus Me. So I actually do watch Japanese games
Oh God.
because the games are very they're very interesting. I actually really just like Evie because like he's really good. Like he's their crown jewel. I don't know. I think he's very compelling. He's also like really short, but he also does like really interesting calisthenics before he plays every single game. It's really funny. Like he'll just like scrunch on the ground and he'll put his arms behind his back, and it's so extra. I'm a big fan. And my jungle son is Karsa.
Of course.
Of course.
You have to like JoJo, obviously, and he's just so soft. He's so adorable, and also like I've never seen someone so tall be so small at the same time.
Like thin?
When I went, yeah, no, like when I first saw him at Worlds, like he has like several inches on me in terms of height or whatever that is in like the others like measurement scale, but it's just he's quite a bit taller than me. However, when I first saw him walking in a hallway, he just shrunk. Like this man like has his arms like on the very inside of his body, and he's just kind of like, I'm just here just to do my job, and he just walks away.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's got like soft boy energies. He's just tiny man, tall man.
Some people would say he's a shoujo man, and to some degree that's true. But I think that he's just, I don't know, he just shrinks himself. He's very, and he cries like after like every important match, like if he like whether he wins or loses, and if he loses, he really lets it go. But then if he wins,
I love Karsa's crying. It's like it's so big. It's a lot of crying. It's not like tears. Like this is like sobbing crying. I love it.
Oh, he's flooding. When he won MSI,
God.
He was really letting it go. And when he lost like at Worlds with Flashholes, he's letting it go. And when he lost at Worlds in Korea, he was really down, and it's the same situation. I love how emotional he is and how much he cares, and also that he's a gigantic weeb. Also, I had a great experience with him because I did interview him, I guess for the last time it turned out, at Worlds last year. And at the end of our interview, he pointed at my phone case, which at that point was a Darling in the Franxx phone case. And he was like, "Oh, I like that." And he was like, "Oh, you like Darling in the Franxx?" He says, "Yes, yes." And he said 02 is very good. I was like, "Oh, yes, she is very good." And then he walked away.
Those are the connections that you want.
That's
those
exactly what I was about to say.
Esports experiences.
Yes.
Exactly.
The only reason he did that is because I was taking a picture of him for social media, and then he saw my phone case, and that was all that. And I was like it was a very good moment for me. I was very happy.
But who's the mid lane? Who's the mid son?
Okay, mid son changes a lot.
Okay.
You can only have one.
But
yes, sadly.
I just put them up for adoption. Someone else will take them. Mid son. I'll go to 80 Carry Son first.
Okay.
I actually think about mid son.
Okay.
80 Carry Son is Jackie Love.
Of course.
Very small boy.
Yes.
Of course. Yes.
I don't know. Okay, I'll be honest. Like it just started because I liked his name, and I thought Jackie Love just sounded interesting. And then I watched his games, and honestly, he's a feeder. Like he just dies a lot. In his first split, he was just kind of bad. But I was like, okay, I'm a fan. And then when he finally got to play Draven, I was like, oh my god, I was exhilarated. He's like so talented, but he's also
really dumb.
He's like if iBoy had like maybe a little bit more like like resistance to his impulses.
Like just a teeny bit. As somebody whose son is iBoy, I understand the feeling. It's like, ooh, don't do that, but then they do it, and you're like, I'm still gonna love you because you're my son, but please don't do that next time.
Yeah, he just lets it all go. Also, like, he's also one of those tall boys that's just kind of small. It's very.
iBoy is tall?
Oh, Jackie
No. Or like Jackie Love is kind of like I don't know if he really is tall because he's on the same team as Ning, who's a giant.
Ning is a giant.
So, yeah, but Jackie Love just carries himself in a way that's very like super confident.
Yeah.
If you compare it to Karsa, who's just like, "Hello, I am shrunk."
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Also, like him, like walking around with the trophy after winning.
Oh my god, so cute.
That was precious. And then we'll go back to mid. It's actually Fofo from JT.
Okay.
Definitely Fofo. He's just the person who deserves to succeed, but will never, I guess, because that's just how his life works, I guess. His team sucks. Actually, his team's really good right now, but traditionally his team sucks. He got first place like once, and then they lost in the final. But it was also kind of his fault. So it was he didn't learn how to play Taliyah when Taliyah was the most important champion, and they just failed, and it was very sad. But he's so talented. He's super charming. His English is really good. I interviewed him at All Star 2 years ago, and he's just precious. I want him to do well. I really want him to go to Worlds this year. If it's at the expense of my flash rolls, that's totally fine. And yeah, he'll never play in the mainland though because his parents want him to stay home. So he's LMS or die until things happen. Moving down.
And then support?
Yes, moving down. Support, my favorite player of all time. Former Flashwolf support, current Suning support, stuck with SMLZ, is Sword Art. Sword Art is so adorable. I don't know. He actually also was like one of those random stream occurrences where the first time I happened upon his stream, it was on owned TV when that was still a thing. And he was playing a Pikachu volleyball game, like a Pikachu volleyball flash game. And I'm just like, this is so cute. And then I looked into him, and he was actually a mid laner at the time. That was before he was even on a team. I was like, okay. But then I saw him debut for Gamania Bears, and I was like, wait, that's that Sword Art? And then I immediately was like, I stan. Oh, except he had a dumb name, because it was like lowercase s, capital W, 0, capital R, lowercase d, like capital A, capital R, lowercase t.
Okay, that is a very dumb name.
It's so weeby. It's like the weebiest crap ever.
Yeah, he's a very Chunibyo boy. He's also a super weeb, and he's also super dorky.
His name is Sword Art, and
oh yeah, the worst anime.
The worst, yeah.
But that's the thing about sons. You gotta love them no matter what.
In his defense, it was at least before the anime came out.
Okay. In his defense,
it was very bad. He's just like, I don't know. He is a sun, like not just a sun, but like the sun that brings us light. And he just is always that happy player on every team, which is why he must be paired with SMLZ, I guess. I guess he just has to be with a player that is memed to being completely without emotions most of the time. Sword Art is my ultimate son.
You would follow Sword Art wherever he goes, kind of thing?
Yes, I still watch Suning games even though I don't like them that much. Because I just like Sword Art. If he wanted to play anywhere else, I will watch him. If he was going to become a tennis player, I'd watch him play tennis.
Wow, that's really extreme. I think if Smed became a tennis player, I would not watch him.
Oh god, if Smed became a tennis player, I would no, I think I would just ban tennis out of my life.
What if like Clearlove...
Not that it's a part of my life.
What if Clearlove became like... I don't even know, like, what would Clearlove...
What if he became like a competitive hot dog eater?
Smed or Clearlove?
Clearlove.
A competitive hot dog eater, I would be front row and center with my Clearlove banners cheering for him. Would dedicate my life for Clearlove hot dog eating contest. That's just how it is.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is the next LPL playoff should be Wang Sikong versus Clearlove eating hot dogs.
Yes, heard it through the Podvine, aka here. This might happen, who knows?
Linda, is there anything you want to ask Xander before we move on to our next topic?
No, I think I really enjoyed covering each son in the various League of Legends positions. That was very good.
That was good. We should ask people.
I have a bonus son.
Oh, who's your sub son?
My sub son. He's a mid sub son. He's Seiya. He plays for Serious Gaming in Latin America. He's the best Mexican player. He's also a weeb, and
of course,
he's actually small. He's quite a bit shorter than me. I'm not very tall, so I don't know. I'm just a fan. I played against him in solo queue once, and he destroyed me.
Love that.
I'm a big fan.
And then you were like, I stan.
Yeah, I stan.
Well, our second topic, as Linda has teased, is Heard It Through the Podvine. And this will just be, what are some outrageous rumors about esports that you've either heard or you would actually believe? And I guess one that... This is kind of inspired by that recent weird conspiracy where everybody thought like Broxa punched Reckless in the face because somebody said so on Reddit. And I thought this was hysterical because Broxa is so huge. And just the idea of him like punching anybody in his team would be really funny. And then I started to like trick myself into believing it. And then they posted that really strange picture of them afterwards being like, oh, there's no problem. We all get along. And it was like Broxa and like Reckless with their arms around each other with this like weird distance in between them. Anyway, so Xander or Linda, what are some outrageous esports rumors you've either heard or would believe?
Hmm.
Linda, you must know
Okay,
some
well,
LPL ones.
okay, most of them, everyone knows the birther conspiracy around Mouse and iBoy, and literally any player that comes into the LPL, there's some kind of birther conspiracy around it.
Wait,
But
iBoy
there's
is
an
like 15 though. Like there's no way.
no,
Let's
iBoy
be
is
honest here.
19. iBoy was born 2000. All right, he's 19, which is really weird because he does not look 19. He does look 15. Honestly, maybe he is 15. I don't know. I would
He is
support him
15.
anyways. He's my son. I will support him in whatever age he is, 15, 19, whatever it may be. But there was one rumor during the whole like mouse birth certificate conspiracy thing. And that was that because EDG was doing so poorly in groups at Worlds 2017 that people were just being super angry at them. And one of the conspiracy theories was that instead of practicing, Mouse had like invited a bunch of fans to his hotel room,
What?
and they had like and they had like I don't know, it's like kind of big orgy or something. That was the conspiracy theory, and it spread on Weibo, and then other people had to come and clarify, like fans who lived at the same hotel. They were like, no, nothing has happened. They're literally practicing every day, and it was such a big thing, and what is going on?
Did people believe these other fans that came out of the hotel? Because I feel like this is a really common China thing. Is like then somebody will be like, "Oh, I was there and this didn't happen," and then everybody's like, "Well, you were paid off to say that."
No, but like these people just like they legit took photos of like where they lived in the hotel and everything. Like they came up with the receipts because they were like, "You're not gonna come here and trash talk these guys who are already like emotionally unstable because they're bombing out a group stage." So it's just a huge thing. God, Worlds 2017 was not a good time to be an EDG fan. I mean, it's never a good time to be an EDG fan, but especially then.
Wow. I was kind of reminded of the fact that I guess in LCS there are a couple of like unsolved rumors or mysteries, and one of them recently got solved, which is like why was Quas kicked out? Do you guys remember
yeah.
this Reddit post? And it was like, and I think the funniest thing about it was that like he talked. It's not actually a funny story, but I remember the bit in there was that he was microdosing to try to help him solve like anxiety issues. And I just thought that was like really funny because I think if you had told me ages ago that that was part of the reason of his story, I would be like, that's an outrageous rumor. But it turned out to be true.
Yeah, I feel like LCS has a lot of interesting stuff going on in there.
Yeah, as far as conspiracy theories go, I don't know. I honestly know a lot of the real stories, so it's
yeah. Don't tell us a real story. That's not
yeah.
that's not fun.
So, yeah, it's not. So the conspiracy theories themselves are pretty ridiculous. I think the Quas thing only really happened because Team Liquid basically said nothing when that happened, and Quas had that big Facebook post, so there was that. And so like Quas made that big Facebook post where it was pretty much just about like his opinion on Colombian politics.
Yeah.
And all in Spanish, and then he disappeared. So it's like NTL basically said nothing. So they kind of just fed fans. It's like, all right, see what you could come up with, and that was it.
That's like what I think. That's what makes. So, okay, I think these kind of conspiracy things happen in like any fandom, but the weird thing about esports is like, first of all, the community isn't that big and people's mouths are like open all the time, whenever there's like a mystery, it's super strange because somebody has like leaked something somewhere, right? And so whenever there's like a mystery, you're like, oh my God, it has to either be like really, 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 really bad. Like your mind just jumps to like two things. Either like something really, 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 really bad happened, or it's like the craziest conspiracy ever. And that's why like I think esports conspiracies are weird. I mean like, so like, okay, one thing I was thinking of, this is in another fandom entirely, but in Overwatch, Kongju Uncia, which is like the sister team of Kongju Panthera, which is the more famous of the two sister teams, they had this player named Daily. And then one day, Daily just like disappeared off the roster, okay? And I think they announced him leaving, but they didn't say anything else about it. And then later, like Fissure was on stream, and he talks about how like one day Daily just disappeared. Like he was talking to Daily, and then Daily went into his room, And then Fisher went into the room afterwards and Daly wasn't there. And then all his stuff disappeared. And there was like some complicated story about how like basically like Daly would have had to take an elevator or something out there. And I was just like, okay, literally what you just told me is that like Daly vanished into thin air. Like Daly turned into a cat and they never saw him again. Like, so, and like they never talked about it. Like they never ever talked about what happened to him. Like there was like no story, like he didn't officially retire. Like there was just nothing. He just like completely disappeared. And so like that's why I think it's,
so no one has found him after that?
He's never like come back up. And like this is actually not the first time that somebody like that has happened, like to Kongdu. So Bling used to be another player for Kongdu. I think it was also Kongdu Unsia. And he also disappeared. And then later I think he became a streamer and he's actually recently come back up for Overwatch Contenders. So this is like he didn't like disappear as much as Daly did. But that's like what I think is really like whenever something like truly mysterious like this happens, it's always like because nobody says anything, it's strange. Because usually you get like a retirement thing, or like usually you get like a, you know, a so and so like you know, and it was just nothing. And like that's why I think it's like that's why I like the Broxa Punch Reckless in the face rumor, because it's the other way around. Like nobody was even saying anything, and then Fnatic goes out of their way to be like, oh no, nothing happened. You know, we're all friends here, and it was like the other extreme. And of course, like the fact that most people in esports don't know how to deal with PR like adds to the problem. And I think, you know, like the whole Monty got kicked out because Riot hates him is an example of this, because there's like all these little bits and pieces that come out. And so now there's this whole story that like Monty was like exercising civil disobedience by like wanting more money for all the casters. And so then Riot decided that they couldn't have that. So they basically kicked him out. Like, you know, like it's so like that's the story that comes out because all these people put together all these different like, I don't know. It's
Monty was esports Jesus.
Monty
who
was
died on the
esports
cross.
Jesus who died on the cross for all of us, and like that's the story that like if you are new to esports and you just go Reddit, like why is Monty no longer in League of Legends? Like that's the story somebody will tell you, and it like totally belies the fact that there's like this whole other ownership issue with Renegades in the background. So I don't know, like those are like, okay, going back to the Olay issue, I won't go into the full details, but Xander, I remember being on Reddit trying to find a thread, like, because somebody was like, oh, well, Olay is a terrible person, okay? And then you go through Reddit and like the conspiracy theory is like I don't even remember exactly what the conspiracy is, but it was like, it was amazing. It was basically like Olay was trying to completely ruin the team by sowing all these rumors and like banged a chick. Like that was it. And so it's weird because like whenever you have either absence of information or too much information, both of which exist in esports in like equal amounts, you get crazy rumors. And I'm sure that's true everywhere. And it must be weird for you because like a lot of times you probably do know, Xander, why things happen.
Yes. Also, to add to your Ole thing, they actually, the Taiwanese community believed that he was trying to like take control of the organization from within by what was it? Seducing the owner's mother.
What?
So that was the rest of the conspiracy.
Wait, what?
Okay, because I'd only heard about the thing where he was like telling people things or like helping them do some sort of contract negotiation. I didn't hear the part about seducing the owner's mother.
That was another detail that was on Facebook specifically. I don't think it made it to PTT.
Okay.
But it was specifically on Facebook where he was trying to seduce Derek Chung's mother and take control of the organization from within.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was like the last of that conspiracy. That was the most ridiculous part of the conspiracy theory that I heard. There is a lot around that situation, but it's still like, yeah, like, okay.
I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe Broxa Punch Reckless in the face is the same level, but it's just...
I mean, this is esports journalism, people. Find out. Investigate this.
Yeah.
Did Broxa punch Reckless in the face or various body parts? And what happened? Please.
I do...
DM us.
DM us. I do think it is, like... So Overwatch has these people who make, like, outrageous videos discussing these kind of rumors and stuff like that. Do you guys know if League does? Like, is that a sign that we're a dead fandom? Is that nobody cares?
I think our fan culture is a little different. So
yeah.
I think we're past the state. You know what? Back then, 2013, 2014, yes, absolutely.
Really?
There was definitely, I don't know, when Travis had State of the League, a lot of stuff came out of that podcast or like video or whatever you would call it, whatever they were doing on YouTube. Like they just did that weekly thing where he talked with like numerous players, and it was literally just talking about the scene and like gossip and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like other people would use that for their content back then. But I think the scene is just like super mature now in terms of like how closed off things are. Like you can't even get an interview with like half the players half the time. Like you like getting anything juicy or like finding out anything juicy is very difficult if you're just some person on Reddit or you're just some person on YouTube. Like you really have to be in Santa Monica to be privy to these things now.
That makes sense.
I think also Overwatch players are just not media trained at all. So, or like they're still working on it. So like, stuff comes out like nothing. Like it's literally flowing.
I know, like in a stream, like every so often not every so often, like every day you go on the Reddit and it's just like another stream clip in which somebody says something, especially during roster trade season.
Yep.
They're all double lift.
Yes, they are all double lift. But honestly, I'm kind of thankful that the League of Legends subreddit doesn't have like a League of Legends TMC or whatever that the Overwatch subreddit has. Because I clicked it like once and there's just so many things on there and I'm like, why? That's just it. Like, why? It's not even funny things like Brock's a punch reckless. It's just things.
Yeah, I also do think probably maybe like the age of League of Legends, both like the fandom and maybe the players has something to do with it. I mean, you are talking about people who like have been in this scene for a while and like Xander says probably are somewhat media trained now. So maybe they just like say less so we don't have a TMZ because what would be on it? I don't even know.
Brock's dropkick reckless.
My conspiracy theory.
Wait. Brock's punched Caps and that is why Caps is on G2.
No, I totally believe it.
Crack the code right there.
I cracked the code. Yeah, that's how G2 got their roster swap.
Exactly.
Oh, that also just reminds me. Oh, my favorite conspiracy theory or like whatever it is actually the beef noodles. Like that.
Oh
is like,
the Name one.
It's legendary.
Wait, what is it?
Okay, so at 2014, yeah, I got it. It was 2014 Worlds. EDG was super good. One of in my opinion, they were the best team in the world actually, but they never really got to show it because when they were in, it was when they were in Taiwan. Name had beef noodles and he was out of commission. Like he was done. Like he felt awful after eating them, and then he played terribly.
Yeah.
And then EDG died. And they lost to AHQ, which, by the way, is still one of the most exciting games I've ever watched, ever.
Wait, so what's the conspiracy? That somebody poisoned him?
Well, the conspiracy is that those noodles are the reason why EDG sucked at Worlds. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, in the LPL, there's this running joke that, like, don't eat beef noodles before big games.
Okay, or else you'll be like, Name, you'll die.
Yeah, but, I mean, to be fair, I think IG were eating beef noodles at MSI, and they were like, haha, jokes, but then they lost to Team Liquid, so maybe it holds true, What
Taiwanese beef noodles, just don't eat them. Like, you will lose your games. Maybe Team Liquid ate beef noodles too, that's why they got stomped. But
yeah. Maybe, okay, so the secret technique is don't eat Taiwanese beef noodles before big games and be a JoJo fan, and you will win. Guaranteed. A major tournament. Guaranteed.
So what you're saying is that KT just needs to fly in Taiwanese beef noodles to all the rest of LCK.
Yeah.
And then watch a lot of JoJo.
Exactly.
Well,
none of them watch JoJo, I can tell.
Absolutely none of them watch it. I don't think Snub even knows what a JoJo is. Like, I really... And Score's
disgusting.
too old for JoJo.
I'll accept Score, but the rest, disgusting. You know that Simpsons meme? That's me looking down on them.
Yeah.
You know what? I bet you Zenit knows what JoJo is.
Probably, but Zenit also does not know how to play many champs, so we can't really run with that.
Do they still have Gongo on their roster?
Yes, they still have
Oh, maybe he
Gongo
does. He was
Zenit.
in Japan. He has to know what JoJo is.
They had to bench him because he knew too much.
Yeah.
Right.
They thought he was poisoning them. Oh.
Wait, so are you saying that Damwon knows what JoJo is?
Yes,
Okay, well.
without a doubt. With names like they have on their team, absolutely.
Showmaker is his own stan. So now we are at the final part of our podcast where we have recommendations for something esports related that we do not want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about. And actually, this is a perfect segue. Xander, what is your recommendation?
Oh yeah, there we go. Golden Guardians. They had a video on their YouTube channel, and it was Contracts and Hanser talking about One Piece, and it's just a shitpost video, like because I don't like Contracts is a big weeb, and he's also one of my sons. That's why I stand Golden Guardians. For those who don't know, and it's just. I don't know what's going on in his brain most of the time. Maybe that's why he likes One Piece, because I don't know what's happening half the time I watch that show either. So I don't know. You should watch Sarazanmai. He would probably melt.
I have a real question about this video. Do you think Contracts actually knows what One Piece is? Because when I was watching this video, it was unclear to me if this was like them joking or if like. Sorry, not Contracts. Did I say Contracts? I mean Hanser. I'm not entirely sure Hanser has ever actually laid eyes on either One Piece or a Wikipedia article about what One Piece is, because he was just like saying things and then Contracts was like egging him on. Like that was like the impression I got from the video, but I don't know if that's because they're both bad about articulating what an anime story is.
But I got the same feeling because Haunter, when they've done their whole intro thing, and then they're like, today we're going to talk about anime. Haunter is his delivery is very stilted.
Yeah,
He's like,
Xander,
we're going to talk about
think?
One Piece, Piece 1. And Contract's like, yeah, One Piece. So, I don't know.
Was that the point? Like, Xander, like, am I like crazy? It just felt like Haunter didn't know what One Piece was.
Yeah, I'm like 95% sure he's never watched One Piece. It was a vehicle for Contracts to be an idiot.
And like Contracts was also not doing a very good job. Like it just was like two people who it sounded like two people who were like given an extemporaneous like thing to like pretend that they knew what One Piece was.
Okay, Contracts definitely watches One Piece. So
I feel like Contracts watches every anime.
No, he won't watch JoJo, which is why he will never succeed. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Well, there you have it. Another case complete.
It's true. Like all the things are adding up. We've truly cracked the code.
And speaking of cracking the code and conspiracy theories, since I've been stuck in VPN hell, I haven't been able to find that much content. But that doesn't mean I have been able to avoid Doublelift's most recent tweets, which have been very interesting. And also my conspiracy theory that something has happened to him and, I don't know, maybe an android has taken over. An android of a very bad social media manager, because the tweets he has... Okay, I'm just gonna... So my recommendation is his most recent tweet.
No.
Which is
well, you have to clarify,
what
the most recent tweet is.
Okay, so the most recent tweet that I'm looking at right now, anyways, it's a bunch of emojis, because I guess Doublelift likes that nowadays. And it starts with... I'm looking for a man. He has big brain and big American muscle. When he step on the rift, other team say GG. He's kawaii but senpai. You call him Doublelift, but I call him daddy.
Yeah, he's always had an obsession with copy pasta, but this one was also like I don't know. The one that I was thinking of, and I don't even actually want to say this on screen or on podcast, but there's one he made where he was like, he basically uses like the Owo face.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'll link it because I don't even want to read it out loud. It has such cursed energy. But like, I don't know. He's chaotic evil. Oh, the like. Well, this wasn't him, but then like he and like Luca had this like ramen date.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like that either. I just like don't like anything that comes out of his Twitter. It's all cursed.
It's
like Doublelift was cursed before, but now it's like 100 times more cursed.
Disgusting. All right.
His next one should be like the clap of my ass cheeks meme. I would like it.
Oh my god.
Oh no, please.
What?
Don't give him ideas. Don't give him ideas.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
I don't want to hear those words in the same sentence as
I
Doublelift
don't
or
wanna
see
do
those
it.
words in relation to Doublelift.
It's gonna happen.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
I actually have you guys seen that video of like Winnie the Pooh and so
No, stop.
okay, I'll link it. It's hilarious. I'm gonna try
I
and
think we
find
should
it
just
and then I'm gonna
unplug the
link it.
internet. I think the internet should be done. I think we're done.
Wait, it's so good. There's so much potential there.
No, don't give him
I
ideas.
want to see what he can come up
Don't
with.
give him ideas. It's awful.
You should make a tweet about Mundo being a Switch top. That's his name.
You've already made that tweet, didn't you?
I know. You should just copy me. I'm done. Make it popular.
If you hear this Doublelift, please,
No,
don't.
I'm
work
cutting
on it.
this all out. Aiden, cut this all out. Don't give him any ideas. Okay, well, on a different note, my recommendation is SKT T1 has done, well, they're now just T1. T1 has basically done some changes to their video content, which I won't go into here, but one of the things they have tried to do is these blind date series where whenever they're at international or pseudo-international events as Rift Rivals maybe, they get one of their players to talk to another player and they give them blind date questions. So some of them are League of Legends related, but some of them are things like, do you prefer beaches or mountains? Things like that. And their most recent one is with Imp and Teddy, and it's very funny. Among other things, they talk about Imp's fashion, and they also ask Imp and Teddy whether or not they would date Mata if given the chance. And the answer is hysterical because, as you probably know, they were both ADCs to Mata's support Teddy is currently Mata's ADC, but Imp used to be. So it's very good. There was one with Faker and Doublelift, which I don't even want to talk about now because Doublelift's name is trash to me right now. And it's good. It's short, and Imp is really, really funny, and I miss him.
I love the part where they were asked would you date a pro game or if you were a girl, and Ted is if I was a girl, I wouldn't date a pro gamer.
They didn't even
that
ask him that. That was just his answer for why he wouldn't date Mata. He was if I was a girl, I would never date a pro gamer. And I was yes, somebody has some brains.
He just had to speak it out into the world
The
so people
massive
would
brains on that man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A genius.
Anyway, well, Xander, thank you so much for coming on this episode. It's been a crazy ride. Thank you for telling us your list of sons.
Thank you. I appreciated talking about my list of sons and bringing up my favorite meme now.
Yeah.
Hopefully Doublelift brings it up. I really want to see it.
Oh God. Is there anything you want to plug, do, say, etc. before we go?
Trans rights. Stan Luna. Fuck Power. Okay, there you go.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
that's great.
Well, Xander can be found on Xgumihu, and you can find his long list of bylines if you just Google for it. Linda, thank you for showing up even in VPN hell for both these episodes.
They can't keep me logged off. I'm always online.
Is there anything you want to plug before you go?
No, all I can I can only think about a Winnie the Pooh
Oh my God,
video.
both of you, stop!
Watch it, people. Watch it.
Oh my God, this episode has completely gone off the rails. As always, for Pod of Ages, thank you for listening. You can find us on soundcloud.com/Pod of Ages. You can also find us on iTunes and Spotify. I'm sure we will get on iTunes one day. Maybe when we stop looking at Doublelift's memes, we'll be able to get ourselves up there somehow. For Linda and Xander, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.